Hello and welcome to another Gaming with Killatia. Today we take a look at Tales of Grace F for the PlayStation 3. Here's a little quick history of the game itself. It was originally released as a retitle in 2009 in Japan, simply called Tales of Grace. Now it was a good success and a big hit for the platform. But in good old classic Namco Bandai fashion, somebody was like, wait a second, we didn't make this for a Sony made platform. Quick, put it over to the PS3! And that's where we got Tales of Grace F. There is a couple of changes they made to the game compared to the Wii version. Enhanced graphics, new dungeons, a new storyline after the main one that's about 3/4 the length, and some bug fixes, including one that could be a big game breaker. Well, I'll give Namco Bandai some credit. At least we got the superior version this time around. Anyways, let's get going with the review. Oh, by the way, spoiler alerts, but since this is a recent release, I am going to do my best to keep it at a minimum. Without trying to spoil too much, you start out as a child named Asbelon, who befriends a girl with amnesia, which they have named Sophie. Later on in your childhood, you also get to befriend the Prince of the Verona Kingdom, Richard, as well as meet up with your childhood friend, Charisse, and brother, Hubert. Tragedy strikes, however, as an event in the Verona catacombs creates a rift in all the friendships. Sophie is presumed dead, Hubert having sent up to his new adopted family in another country, as nothing is heard of from Richard since they could not find him in that event. Killatia does try her best to convince Asbel to stay in the hometown of Lunt, but he still decides to leave for the capital city, Verona, to become a knight and to become stronger to protect everyone that he cares about. 7 years has passed, and Asbel is finally on his way to become a full-fledged knight. However, tragedy strikes in his hometown of Lunt, and he leaves to protect those that he does care about. This is where the story truly begins. The main central plot of the story is basically friendship and how it can be used to save the world. Now, on paper, it may sound like the same plot point as Yu-Gi-Oh! But unlike the 4Kids dub of said series, Namco Bandai really cared about making a fantastic story, and it shows throughout the game. The reintroduction of old friends from 7 years ago and new characters are pretty well done, although Pastel's introduction is kind of creepy.
Sophie.
Now, because Tales of Grace F is a part of the original Wii version, it's not going to necessarily push the boundaries of what the PS3 can do. However, Tales of Grace F is still a good looking game with sharper image compared to the Wii version, as well as being rendered at a HD resolution. The music is just as good as any other Tales game, and the voice acting is just as excellent as ever. Even Pastel voices is, slightly better than Keller voice. That's a compliment, right? Right? Probably the biggest change this game has to offer compared to the previous Tale games is its combat system. Instead of seeing combat going from the side, you're now controlling the character from the behind the back perspective. The attack method has also been changed and have been separated into 8 arts and B arts, basically meaning you can dual wield 2 different fighting styles for each character. That create a brand new combinations for gamers to explore in this game. This does mean, however, that most of your attacks Even your non-magical melee attacks are now considered arts, so if you get hit with a seal ailment, you're not going to be able to fight back until you use a panacea bottle, or one of your characters can heal you from said illness. Titles also play a much bigger role in Grace than in previous Tales games, as they can actually make your character stronger, from giving you more HP and points to your strength to giving you all new abilities. It's best that you try to collect as much titles as you can, even though they seem to come out throughout the game at random points.
Flee for your lives.
Honestly, Tales of Grace F is a really well done game. It's really hard to find fault with it. Sure, there's some parts of the storyline that feels forced or rushed, but that's very rare from an otherwise excellent storyline. Yes, the game is linear, but that actually plays to the game's advantage instead to its disadvantage, like what happened with Final Fantasy XIII. You have to make one or two complaints that the item seems much more expensive this time around than in previous Tales game. I seem to be finding myself spending all my money before I can get all my characters brand new equipment and weaponry. Not really a game breaker, but it is pretty annoying. And even before you can start the game, you're forced to install parts of the game onto your PlayStation 3 hard drive. The last game I can remember where you were forced to do that happened way back in 2008 with a couple of Capcom games, Lost Planet and Devil May Cry 4. You would have thought that 4 years later, developer would have forced gamers to install on a hard drive? Well, I guess I was proven wrong in this point. Despite the minor gripes that I may have had with the game, I find Tales of Grace F one of the best Tales games I've played since Tales of Symphonia, and it's highly recommended in my opinion.
I'm really glad that you're the same girl I used to know.
Overall, I give Tales of Grace F a solid A. It's the best Tales game I've played since Tales of Symphonia, and it's a must-have if you own a PlayStation 3 and are a big fan of Japanese-style RPGs. This is Killatia signing up, and hope to see you next time.
I heard you like crab omelets, Sophie.
Yes, crablets. I bet Richard gets to eat special royal crablets. Royal crablets?
I'm afraid there's no such thing.
Royal crablets.
Wait, Sophie, let's all calm down.